Welcome to Drawsh Studio. Today we're going to learn to apply massing to figure drawing so our light and shadow is clear and interesting. Let's get started. Massing is a drawing concept where we simplify the complexity of values by squinting to reduce the detail and see the simplified pattern of light and shadow. Doing this to the figure helps us group and organize the complex value transitions as they move over the anatomy. We must try to ignore the subtle hue shifts of the skin tone because color can affect our perception of value. Then we need to squint and reduce the complexity of the value range. We then want to think of a value scale and group the values into either light or dark shapes. A value that is a 4 or lighter masses with the light shapes, and a value that is 5 or greater masses with the dark shapes. With practice, we can start to see a concept like this in our mind. Now we can apply this simple, clear pattern of light and shadow shapes to our drawing. To begin, I'm going to draw a quick gesture of the figure. I'm going to work with the line shape form method previously discussed, but combine the steps in a way that makes sense to me. Now that I have the basic structure, I'm going to quickly add contours on top to create a complete figure. I worked on a lighter color for the structure and a darker color for the contour to help visually separate them. Now let's mass. When I have my eyes fully open, I see all of the details and complex values, and it's hard to know what to group together. What beginners often do is try to record all of the subtle light and shadow values coming from reflected light or variations of skin tone. If we do, we are left with something like this. But something doesn't look right. It isn't totally clear where the light is coming from, and it looks messy and chaotic. To help understand how to fix it, we need to see the figure as a series of basic forms in our mind. If the light is coming from this direction, all of these planes would be in light, and all of these planes in shadow. So the shadow mass would look something like this. Understanding the figure in these basic form concepts means we can analyze or even invent light and shadow accurately. Imagine if the light source was on the other side. These planes would be in light now, and these in shadow. That means the shadow mass would look something like this. The ability to simplify complex subjects into simpler, more manageable elements is a really important step in training yourself to draw well. Let's take another try at massing our gesture. This time I will squint and think of those simple forms underneath. I use the tip of my brush pen to define the edge between the light shapes and those that I will mass with the dark shapes. I pay careful attention to the subtlety of this edge as I move down the figure to describe the shadow mass moving over the anatomy. The more specific this edge is, the more realistic your light and shadow will look. Then I start to fill in the dark mass with the side of my brush pen. Squinting helps me see that subtle value shifts in areas like reflected light group with the shadow masses. But because this is a simplification, I am making choices on how I design the group of shapes. I continually ask myself if a shape or value lands on the light side or the dark side of the value scale, and then I group accordingly. Now the light and shadow is clear, organized, and makes sense, and the complexity of the shapes is pleasing to our eye. Now let's do this as a complete drawing. This is a 5-minute massing gesture where I give myself 3 minutes or so for the structure and contour, and a couple of minutes for the massing. It is a great exercise to practice your massing, sharpen your perception, and force you to be decisive. But don't get frustrated if it takes you longer than 5 minutes. The important part is you practice massing as much as you can to create clarity in your value masses. It's better to define the edge of your shadow mass shapes for the whole figure first, and then block in the masses. Once you understand how to mass and organize the light and shadow, you can add more complex value transitions into your drawing. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to go to Drawsh.com for more information on these topics and many more. If you want to see more videos like this, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.